economic terms in Portuguese and Spanish, in spite of the language being very similar, are very different. So it causes a lot of confusion for the translator.
Thank you.
Now, Saul asked me to discuss a lot of stuff on the general theme of the conference. Chandra was smarter. He talked about what's happening to the world, not what happened in this conference. So I'm trying to, of course, the way I will present this is connected to the way I see things, but a lot of stuff I've seen these last 4 days actually convinced me that there is a framework that we can use to discuss some issues. Of course, it's biased by my specialty that's more macro and more theoretical than most of other people here. Now, 5 minutes to go. Yes, it's difficult to read, but let's first discuss two things: the real exchange rate and the interest rate. Right? In a very schematic way, very simplified way, we could think that in the old developmental days, Cornell is too young to remember, but you know, when they had the state-led development, you must have read that in some book. What did developing countries do? They had, let's call it moderate, of course it's simplification, but let's say moderately devalued real exchange rates and low interest rates, and plus a lot of import tariffs, some smarter, some less, and a lot of export subsidies. And they managed to do that with capital controls. Right? Now, this worked for many countries. Nowadays they say it was bad, it was horrible. Well, Brazil grew faster than anybody else doing this. But there were a number of problems. The more serious from my point of view is that this system of keeping low exchange rate, interest rates with capital controls and devalued exchange rates and import tariffs and export subsidies, in the end, unfortunately, gave you a really bad trade-off between either a low real wage or, when you tried not to have that, a tendency for conflict inflation, because the workers, it was very good for development that the industry was so protected, but the dollar prices for many things were very expensive. Plus, of course, the backward agriculture and other things. But anyway, in a simplified sense, this was the problem. Now you had that's the old thing. Now, in the neoliberal period, all those things became impossible because you could not have, because of the World Trade Organization, you cannot have tariffs, or of course you cannot have export subsidies. Because of IMF, World Bank, credit ratings, also you cannot have capital control. This is enormous pressure not to have them, or have as little as possible. Then you put a very high exchange rate. I didn't put overvalued and undervalued because I don't show over and under relative to what. So let's say high value means what other people call overvalued. High real interest rates, very low tariffs, no export subsidies, no capital controls, and the problems are endless. And we all know the problems: deindustrialization, bad distribution of income, unsustainable growth, low employment, blah blah blah, etc. Now, is there an alternative? This is not an alternative I am proposing. It's a summary of what I have been saying, and it has been confirmed by specialists from other countries. In fact, one can argue that there has been an alternative. We will not discuss it. Will there be an alternative? A lot of different things happened in the year 2000 in a sort of a learning process that many countries that are very different have done this to different degrees with more or less radicalism, which is basically to replicate what happened in the past, in the first regime, in a different way. Now, what you do now, instead of having a moderately, if you want to develop, Brazil didn't do it, but the others did. If you want to develop, what you do now, you devalue the exchange rate a lot, more than you need. China did that, Argentina did that, much more than is reasonable. Big devaluation. Then, this is one thing that makes you, even in certain countries where you don't have capital control, makes your life easy, because the capital flows are fighting for a revaluation. It's much easier to defend. You just buy dollars, right? And the so-called fiscal cost does not exist if you lower your interest rates. So you get, sometimes in China you get even profits for the government by accumulating reserves. It's your internal exchange. And there you have capital control. But even without capital control, you may have a very low interest rate. And since you're fighting a run for your currency, not against your currency, it's easy to sustain this rate, this exchange rate, even without capital control, so other people don't complain, or with limited capital. Now, in order to compensate the fact that now you are too competitive, in the sense that your real wages may go to become very low, what do? You cannot put tariffs because WTO people get angry. But nobody can forbid you from taxing your exports, your sovereign country. So you tax your exports, like Argentina does. Like China has a huge and very complicated system of first taxing exports and then giving back part of it. And when people talk about overvalued Chinese exchange rates, I always ask which, because there is one for each sector of the economy, and it changes every time. So in China, when they want to reduce the tax on exports, they increase the payback of the rebates of the tax. Dick Low knows that it's a very complicated system, but which gives you multiple exchange rates. They reconcile the competitiveness, or even in different sectors, like Martin Abel was proposing. So it's not that we should move towards multiple exchange rates. Many countries have. And then this is also smart, because then the WTO cannot bother you, right? But that's why, for instance, China resists reviving the exchange rates very much. And that's the trick. You can pretend not to be doing anything so terrible. Now this, you can do this or control import prices, which has happened in many countries recently. Given the huge rise of international prices, it's the same thing the other way around. Even Brazil did that a bit. Part of the problem that inflation did not go up so much in Brazil, nor the real wage fell, is that Petrobras did not pass through this huge increase in oil prices. The state-owned enterprises, they earn so much for a certain period that they held on. Or in Mexico, Uruguay, other places that control prices, food prices. So you are having many exchange rates when you do that, right? There's an exchange rate for food, there's another exchange rate for industrial products. So you're doing something similar to the old developmental state, but better in terms of distribution, right? And of course, how much you must do that if you have a lot of public investment or productivity growth, that your life is much simpler. But in any way, this arrangement, the important things about this arrangement is not only that smart, that you do what you did in the past in a more socially progressive way. Anyway, you can find cases of countries that did a little bit of that. This is an idealized case, but one can fit many experiences in degrees of it. But the best thing is that it happened without no change whatsoever in the international power structure in a very, very exaggerated way. There was this change you mentioned, but the US is still there. The Bretton Woods institution is still there. Everybody's still there. You don't care much about it. And also, because you do this in the new system, you accumulate a lot of reserves. And this is very important, because if you don't have more reserves than short-term foreign capital, well, you're bound to have a crisis, because of the short-term foreign capital can go. Everybody knows short-term capital can leave, and if you have less reserves than short-term capital, you can see all crises have been preceded by this coefficient going beyond 1. So you manage to control a lot without entering the endless negotiation that maybe one day you do it. You do it. You don't wait to a new world order. The new world order is being built by developing countries. And in particular, the case of China in particular, that Dick Low said so much, they did something even better, because they did not